Hello, everybody, and welcome to my December 2024 podcast. I've got a very special guest today. I've got a very good friend of mine called Janine Foy. Well, I used to call her Janine Foy, and I'm going to call her Janine Foy. Janine, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Neil.
How the are you?
I'm really good. Yeah.
I was trying to work out how many years it was since I saw you last, and I reckon it must be about... You tell me.
I can't. I was trying to think about it too. I can't remember. It's a long time ago, but you know what? It feels like yesterday.
I know, we had a little chat the other day, and it was just like time had never passed.
Yeah.
You're looking beautiful.
So are you?
Well, I'm grey. You've gone a bit grey too. I'm grey too.
Yeah, I'm very grey.
I can't get away with it. It's so blonde.
I started going grey years ago, and the kids said, "Let it go, Mum. You know, why would you want to just go grey?" And I thought, I used to say that to my mum too. I'm just going to do it. It's hard, that first transition.
I know quite a few people that have gone grey and then they grow it all out and then they colour it. Well, when I met you, you were very dark. You had very dark hair. That's how I remember you.
Dark.
Yeah.
But I was having to, diet every 2 weeks. It was just, I couldn't stand sitting in the chair for 2 hours.
The upkeep is pretty hard. So, Janine, you don't mind me calling you Janine Foy, do you? Because that's what I know you as.
That was my modelling name, so.
Foy. Janine, how did you actually initially get into modelling and how did you start?
Well, I was 14 when my mum said to me, it was school holidays, and she said, "Why don't you go and do a deportment course, a grooming and deportment thing?" And I thought, okay, well, that's, that could be fun. And so I did that with Maisie Bestel-Cohen when she owned June Daly Watkins. And I think it was for a whole week. You went and, it was on putting on makeup. They had the beautiful studio with all the lights. And, we walked with books on our heads and for our posture, and I just took to it. It just felt so natural for me. And we did some photography, and we did a little show at the end for the parents. And I was only 14, and in those days they didn't sign anybody to the agencies, and you had to be 18. But she signed me, and I kind of started working straight away, doing farmers' catalogues and things like that.
Did you get some special treatment? Did you?
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I probably did. I think she just saw the potential because it just was so natural for me. It was easy.
Was Maisie there at the course? Was Maisie there?
Yeah, she'd pop in and, give us her special touch.
What are your memories of Maisie?
Oh, she was such a beautiful soul. I just remember her, she made everyone feel very special, and she was very nurturing, and she really cared about us and our careers,
Do you remember with Diana Bain?
Yeah, Diana, yeah.
Diana
Baines, yeah. The beautiful redhead model, very...
Angela Dunn.
Yes. She would come in and out of the... I remember doing it, she'd come in and out, and I'd be like, oh, who's that beautiful lady? I think
she's amazing, eh? She came to the film the other day, when we had the premiere of the film. She was there.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, you did a course, and then you were roped into... I had no idea that you were a Miss New Zealand in a way.
Well, yeah, a little baby one. Because beauty competitions were big back then. And so, Maisie started entering me in all these little beauty competitions, and it was probably just for practice, practice on the catwalk and, to get my self-esteem and confidence up. And I was winning these little competitions. I just loved it. I loved being on the stage. It was Miss Young International, Miss Asia, and another one. There were 3 of them all combined, and it was at Trillo's, and we... it was, for me, it was a couple of weeks off school. I mean, I was 15. So there were all I think that it was like 15 to up to like 25, maybe 27. So, I was the baby in there, and they were all, was in awe of all these beautiful, women in this competition. So for me, it was just a bit of fun. I got to dress up, glam up. The whole thing was choreographed. We danced on stage to Grace Jones and things like this, all in our bathing suits.
I saw the picture you sent through, the picture of you winning, and you're standing there in your swimsuit. I mean, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
I know. Yeah.
At 15.
No.
You look about 20.
I know, the hair and makeup was really, see the eye makeup, just like a back woman. I was just there for a bit of fun, and I've still got the video. I wonder if it still works. But, I watched...
today, I've got a program that can convert it, so...
That would be so cool if it's still going, because, gosh, some of the costumes, the hair, the makeup, the costumes, the choreography, the music, and, the interviews are funny because, you came out with some sort of celebrity or, like a news presenter, or they had someone that was emceeing it. And I remember him asking, what do you want to do? I don't think the audience realised I was 15, because when I said, I'm still in school, I'm 15, the whole audience just went, ooh, and gasped. And then he was like, well, what do you want to do when, after school? And I said, I don't know. I just want to travel. I had no, had no idea. Well, that's what I ended up doing, because I went on to model overseas.
Did you go to the international competition as the world?
Yes. Yeah, I ended up winning that and just was in absolute shock. I'm just crying the whole time, going, I can't believe it. They can't get a word out of me.
So was it 1981?
I went the year Lorraine won, because I was literally getting my bag packed, ready to go to Korea, and she won.
1983.
That was I had the travel bug. The best thing about that competition was hooking up with Miss Australia. This was on the flight over. It was Miss Australia and I, Miss Malaysia, Miss Hong Kong, and Miss India. So 5 of us traveling together went to the competition. Well, we decide, and we're all like 15, 16, I think they were a little bit older, but Miss Hong Kong was quite famous in Hong Kong. And she had a very wealthy partner. And so we all decide we're going to Hong Kong for a week. And so, back then you collect call home, hey mum, I'm going to go to Hong Kong for a week. Is that okay? Bye. And so we went to Hong Kong, the group of us, all expenses paid for a week. Well, that was it. I came home, and about 3 weeks later, I was out of there. I went to Australia. And I remember going into Maisie's, into June Daly Watkins, and saying, can I get paid for all my work? I bought a one-way ticket, and I left at the age of 16, which is crazy to think now, right? Left home and left the country all at once.
I always thought 16 was very young to start, and it really is, isn't it? Going off somewhere on their own, you'd
never let it happen. But I think, I don't know, back then it was different. Were we more mature back then, or more savvy, or was the world a safer place, or I don't know.
Well, I certainly wasn't. Maybe you were. I bet you were. I bet you were very organised and all had everything worked out, and got on that plane and went off, and there was nothing going to stop you succeeding.
Yeah,
because I know you.
Right. I was going to go, and nothing was going to stop me. And so when I went, and I didn't have success straight away. I was with a tiny little agency, and then I was working. I did have success because I was doing David Jones and all these sort of things. I had the long hair, and then there was the hair and makeup artist that was always doing David Jones just one day said, what agency are you with? And I said this agency, and he was like, oh God, no, I'm taking you to Chadwick's. And I was like, oh no, I'm not good enough for Chadwick's, and so he just bundled me in the car and took me to Chadwick's, and where I met Stuart and Peter, and, put my book on the table, and, back in those days, they just flick through it and go, oh no, it's terrible, terrible. But they looked at me and said, yes, okay, we'll take her on. And so that was a turning point, joining Chadwick's. And then the next turning point was cutting all my hair off by accident, because I used to do those hair jobs back in the 80s, like Schwarzkopf with the before and after shots. And so my hair got butchered in one of those, and then I just cut it off like a boy, cut it off really short. And in the 80s was very androgynous, and that was the making of me. Once I cut all my hair off like a boy, all the photographers, all the magazines wanted to book me because it was luck. It was great timing.
So that would have been sort of 83, 84, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 84 and 5, 86. I was in Australia for quite a while.
Yeah. And you'd come back to Auckland all the time too, and then work in Auckland.
Yeah, just
and then
flip back and forth.
So what made you want to jump from Australia over to Paris in Europe?
All the overseas agents would come down and, looking for the, next pick of models. Like, I guess they probably still do that. And sooner or later, I, got offered to go to Paris. So I was just like, off I go again.
Were you scared? Go?
No. I liked the travel and the moving around and the...
Did you go to Japan? Did you go to Japan at all?
Yes, I went to Japan many times, yeah.
Did you do well there?
Consider myself, I was a working girl. I mean, I worked all the time, full time.
It was so crazy. It was such a nutty place. Like, it had nothing to do with how beautiful you were, because there were some girls that were positively not beautiful that would do really well in Japan, and other girls that I just wondered if you might have been a bit too tall or something.
I don't know. I think they thought I was cute.
We're looking at photos of you from that era back on screen now, and you're very cute. You've got your own little individual look. There's no one else that looks like you.
I did share a photo from then that they did of me. They put me in like this little, it was for a cooking thing, and they like poked my ears out and everything. It was just horrific, but they thought it was cute.
You're the same type of model, the same type of look as Brigitte Verger. You're very elfin, very Audrey Hepburn, very fine, very small.
I've kept, like a few really old magazines from the 80s that I was on the cover or, inside. And I was going through one of them the other day, actually, an old More magazine, New Zealand magazine, and Brigitte was on the other side. And there she was it was like the bend on, and I was like, oh, there she is.
When I first photographed Brigitte in 1991, I just about died. And I had photographed a few models, but I hadn't photographed anyone like Brigitte. And I remember just thinking, oh my God, this is what a model does. This is how it is. You weren't scared of really putting yourself out there.
That's because you always made me feel really comfortable and safe. Not every photographer can create that space. That's a skill to be able to make someone feel, brave. Because you're vulnerable. You're taking the shot. It could be terrible. It's you're thinking, are you good? Do you look? What you need that feedback from the photographer that what you're giving, what you're projecting is okay.
I find that amazing. Like that, I've spoken to a lot of models that they get absolutely no feedback from any photographer, like that they're working with, and I don't know how you survive without getting any feedback. Because you've got to have that sort of, it's very hard to explain to anyone, eh? It's like a game of tennis. It's like a back and forth. I said in one interview, I said, when you've got a good model in front of you, and you sure know when you've got a bad one.
Yeah.
And you get very spoiled by having a great model, because in your mind, you just think that's how all models are. But they're not.
Yeah.
They're not.
No. And I think you have to, you have to take the time to make to connect with your model. And if there's a lot going on set, and there's a lot of, chitter chatter and a lot of demands from the different areas of the team, that connection can get broken. Like, I remember doing a shoot, probably one of the most prestigious shoots I've ever done, was Harper's Bazaar in Paris. It was for haute couture. And so it was very, you can imagine the people on set of that, all the designers and, all the people and the connection with the photographer. And I was nervous because it was a big deal. And the connection with the photographer was just getting, everyone was like overriding him and
Invading.
invading that space between us until he just came up to me and he said, no one else is in this room, it's just you and me, because he could see I was really struggling because that connection was being chopped. And then once he did that, I was fine. Once I had that connection with him, I didn't care about anyone else.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise on shoots, and if you're not confident as a model, like you said, there's a lot of chitter-chattering around and behind the scenes, and you've got to be really, really strong, and you've got to have a lot of energy to get through. It's very easy to do one good shot, but to do 10 or 12 and work all day and do a whole magazine spread, that's the proof's in the pudding. That's what a good model does. So do you think it was more glamorous back then?
You know, Paris is always glamorous, let's face it.
You did very well in Europe, and you worked consistently till your mid-20s. How was that? Like, that's kind of like living the dream, isn't it?
It was so cool. I loved it. I loved living in Paris and working in Europe just because I thought everyone was so, glamorous and cool, and I loved all the cultures. And there was a lot of travel because everything's really close, so you're experiencing all these different cultures. A lot of good money jobs in the 80s in Europe. You did a lot of catalogue, like La Redoute. And when you think catalogue, you think, oh, catalogue work. But their catalogue is next level, The clothes are amazing. The shoots are amazing. You go on these amazing locations. And, they've got the full-on team. It's really nice.
And you were part of it, part of that golden era.
Yeah, I was. I'm so happy I lived through that. That was so cool.
And you survived it. Because you can never go back and recreate that era. You're before my time. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're like, I wasn't working in the 80s. I didn't work to the 90s, but you were there right at the heart of where it all started, like the birth of the first supermodels, and when it was really glamorous. So you decided to come home, didn't you?
I came home. I'd had Victoria, left with the suitcase, came back with the daughter, and and that's when I met you. And after working and modelling in Europe, when I came home to New Zealand, I wasn't thinking I'll continue my career. I didn't know, what was happening in New Zealand. But then we met.
Yeah, we met on the Gay Bartlett shoot, which I found. That's on screen now. Oh, my light fell. So professional around here. Oh, we're using a model who's 26. And it was a really, really big deal because you didn't model at 26. Usually you would have given up. So you were the very first of those models that kept going.
Couldn't get rid of me. Great.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember them saying, she's 26 and, but she looks great. Now, in today's world, you'd go 26, you look great.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. And then we did tons of work.
We did quite a few Gay Bartlett shoots, but we did some nice work. That was some lovely. I bet they zipped it after that first shoot, didn't they? Also, what makes a good model is presence. Really having a sense of yourself and projecting that presence into the camera. And sometimes you don't have that in your teens. Sometimes you got to get, you have that in your late 20s and 30s and beyond. It just keeps getting better. Your presence should be getting more, you're embodying your true self as you get older. So your presence gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah. I think you should be looking your best in your late 20s to... See, now I'm going to get into trouble because if I say you're going to be looking your best in your late 20s to mid 30s, then people will go, but what about 37, 38? But that's just my opinion because you're clued up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got experience and you've got your confidence and you know how to work and move and yeah, that's right.
And then you got the Thornton Hall contract. That was a big deal too. Because they were looking for a new face and they looked at a lot of models for that.
Did they?
Yeah. They were looking at flying in internationals from other countries for that, and then they found you. And that woman, I can't remember her name.
Okay.
What was her name? Can you remember?
I can't remember, but she was so lovely to work for.
She absolutely adored you, and she was like, Janine is Thornton Hall. Janine is the face of Thornton Hall. So I think she saw that you were very international, and you were like one of those. Can you remember what year that was? It would have been 93, 93, 94, I reckon.
Yeah.
It was when the supermodels were so huge, because she was saying to me, she's as good as one of them. She's as good as one of those supermodels. So
The hair and makeup, they were glamorous. You were shooting. The people were lovely. The images were great.
we all worked in teams back then, didn't we? Because I worked with you so often. It was always just like Janine and Margaret, and
Yeah.
we did so many shoots. It was like you were part of a sort of little clique in a way, you know?
We never got to travel together. That would have been good.
No.
But I think by the 90s they weren't travelling as much, were they? Like in the 80s, you'd flit off here, there for a shoot. It was probably just more money around, maybe. I don't know.
Everything changed in the 90s. The budgets all sort of like seized up, and it was all budget. And
Yeah.
I think by the late 90s, the magic had gone. The other day you were telling me about the first shoot that you did with digital.
I remember it so well because, when it was film, we had to, you set it all up, you did your Polaroids, that was the only clue you got of like, what are we creating? And you made your adjustments, and then everyone went, right, let's go for it. Put the rolls in, start shooting. You really had to work at it. You were all working together, everyone working as a team and as a photographer, you have to have good instincts. Have I got the shot? I remember your pet hate as a model to hear from a photographer was just one more roll. When you knew you had the shot, if the photographer wasn't confident and just kept shooting, you're like, oh, what are you doing? Until you developed the film and put it on the light box, and you were just like, wow, this is amazing. Look what you captured. There was space created in that process to capture magic.
It's not as magical, is it? It's not as magical.
Yeah, and I remember the first job I ever did, and I went up thing, and they were like, oh, we're using digital today, and I was like, oh, okay, okay, camera goes up, I start to, get ready to start to work, and then they just go click, and all run to the computer, and I'm like, what's going on? What happened? I'm not even in first gear yet. And it was just weird.
It's like another world. Like, I'll do a shoot now and I'll take 300 or 400 photos on one garment. Whereas in 1996, I might take 20, 30. And if you needed that great model to give you at least half of those usable. So if you had a bad model, you were up shit creek, really. You were pretty cooked, weren't you? Whereas now we can do anything, we can fix anything. Whereas back then, it was you got what you got.
Yeah, very good now.
You had to be good. You had to be good. Do you have a favourite all-time job? Favourite of all time?
Well, my favourite type of work is catwalk. And I'd have to say, Neil, of all the jobs I've done, I loved the Benson and Hedges Awards, going down there on the bus with all the models. We'd all get on the bus and off we'd go all excited, singing all the way down. All these glamorous, beautiful people, and we'd do the Benson Hedges Award, and we'd have so much fun. And Maisie would be there giving us her special touch, and those memories are just here, But it was more the teamwork, the experience. You were in a little bubble for a while with all these people,
Yeah.
just lasts a bit longer. And I think the excitement of being on stage on the catwalk is really something special, all the backstage excitement and, getting ready, getting dressed up, and then out you go and you've got the energy of the audience.
So you would say when you're on the catwalk, that's your favourite modelling experience. Some girls say they love it behind the camera, like taking photos, whereas the runway is your passion, is it?
When I was doing it was special, especially in the 80s when you could we could move, you could move, you could swing your hips, you could, wink at someone and that you could interact a bit more, you could have a personality. Very different from today, isn't it?
Well, you see, you did mention grunge before, and I remember doing a job with you, and we were doing this very classic catalogue and with a client, and they kept having a go at me and telling me to loosen up. It's got to be more modern, more grunge, more like, and you were doing all these really like classic poses, and I was egging you on and saying, great, and they were coming to me and going, you need to make it look more modern, it needs to look more modern, and I was getting really shitty, and I remember you taking me outside and you had giving me a talking to. Do you remember that client? But they were on my back the whole time telling me, it's got to be more grungy, it's got to look more modern. And I'm like, but she's giving you the most beautiful poses. Why do we need to go down that hideous, grungy, like standing there like a boy? Like,
Yeah.
You and I were not having any of that. We were done for full.
What did I say to you when I took you to the side? Did you say?
You said, we just do whatever we want to do. We'll just do whatever we want to do and make them think we're giving them what they want. And then you said to me, you got to schmooze them. So anyway, I did.
It's so funny.
We did some nasty jobs. I've got some catalogues on the screen now of some particularly funny jobs, design fashions, Gillies fashions, where you probably did 50 shots a day, eh? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Real full-on catalogue.
Records.
For me, the worst type of jobs are like where you're suffering, where you're shooting the bikini on top of a mountain in the snow, or the polar neck jumpers in the middle of summer in the sun, and you melt and you look great. Those are the worst type of jobs. Or if you just got not very nice people.
You can have a shoot where you just don't click with the people.
And sometimes people can be mean to the models, not so respectful. There's a lot riding on the model in that moment when you're ready to shoot. All the pressure builds up, and then it's on the model's shoulder. So there's a lot of, the model needs to be encouraged.
The model sometimes was ganged up on if they weren't giving the client what they wanted. And then in a way, more pressure was put on the model, which is wrong.
Yeah, because when you were talking, you were saying before about a bad model and thinking, okay, what's a bad model for you? And a bad model is probably someone that's not delivering. Would that be you?
Well, they're trying, but you can try all you want. I mean, I can try and paint a picture and I'm not going to be able to do it. You can't just pick up modelling. Modelling is a skill.
I know. Do you think it's something you've either got it or you haven't, right? Like,
of course, you either can model or you can't. So I'm on to movie 3 now, which is all about the 90s, which is really funny because it's sort of my era.
Yeah.
And it's your era too, but in a way you're lucky because you're like half 80.
I got both of them, yeah.
You got both of them. How would you equate the 80s to the 90s? Did you enjoy the 80s more than the 90s? For modelling?
I think I did, yeah.
I mean, my life was quite different in the 90s. I was a mum and was juggling a lot of other things. 80s, I was young and free and travelling. And
you kept going for ages though, didn't you?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this resurgence of the 90s supermodels? They're all coming back. And did you see the documentary, The Supermodels? Have you seen that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's good, wasn't it?
Right. It was on Netflix, eh? Yeah, I loved it. Yeah, why not? There shouldn't be an age barrier to modelling. As long as I guess it depends on the client, what the client wants in their campaigns, of course, and also what the audience. I guess it's a bit of social conditioning, isn't it? Like that we just want to see the flawless beauty of teenagers.
I don't care if someone's 58, as long as they're a good model. There's a few of you, like you and Marianne, exceptional, beautiful women that have a place for that age group. But I certainly don't want to see everybody like having a crack at it.
Yeah.
Because it's not an easy
They
thing
do
to do.
now in modelling.
everyone has a crack in modelling, isn't it? Oh, it's watered down now. It was very specialised in the 80s, and everyone had a different look. You know, everyone had something going on. It was kind of characters in the modelling game back then.
I mean, let's be honest.
Eric.
90% of people would have been marched straight out of the door in the modelling agency. You had to be very special to be taken on. How do you feel about today's society of everybody's included in the modelling world? If you look at the social media that's going on, and a lot of jobs are booked off Instagram now, you would know this because you've got your own agency. It's completely changed, eh?
I'm so lucky to have lived through what I lived through and experienced that, because, you know, I've got Indiana, my youngest daughter, who runs the modelling division in our agency and also models herself because you worked with her. I mean, you couldn't model full-time here in New Zealand, I don't think, anymore. I don't think that there's the work, there's not the magazines, there's not the... I just don't think it would happen. And I think a lot of people in the advertising now, they using, you know, just normal people, like talent, you know, especially on social media. Especially on social media.
I don't want to see real people.
You know what I mean? Like, that in the 80s, models did everything. We did all of it, you know? You only ever saw a model on a TV commercial. You didn't see anybody else. If you weren't a model, you weren't having your photograph taken, or you weren't, you know. But that's changed.
I think it's going back to that type of classic beauty, though.
Yeah.
Because for many years it was sort of like you models could be, you know, really odd looking or
Oh, I know. It's interesting, eh? Like, it was almost like anti-beauty.
anti-beauty.
Like-
And if you were a beautiful girl, it was almost held against you. Like your daughter, Indy, I've worked with her for Trelise, and we're looking at pictures of her on screen now. She's like a replica of you. It was like shooting you.
Oh,
Yeah, she's a nice girl too.
yeah, lovely.
See,
Very cool.
you're probably not allowed to call them girls anymore. You get in trouble.
Oh my gosh.
You got to call them women. Well, how old is she? Is she 24 or something now, is she?
Oh, she's just my baby girl.
Indy, how old are you? I think she's 27 or 28 or 26. Oh my God. Look, I've got 4 kids. I forget how old they are. So she's probably, you know, around the age I was when I came back.
To New Zealand all those years ago.
Yeah, but I bet she doesn't look any different than she did when she was 20. Or better.
No.
Or
Yeah,
better.
no, she's better. She's better. Yeah.
She was fun. She was good. I hung out with her all day. Loved Indy. And what a face. So you don't have... I want to do a shoot with you when I'm back in February. And get you back into it.
I
I want to see you back.
Oh, you're sweet. Well, I have Indiana's draped me back recently. I did a handbag shoot. They were like, oh, someone wants to use you. And I said, okay. Look, Neil, I thought, oh, I'll go and have my hair and makeup done. It'll be such a treat. You know, I'll do a little bit of pampering, and, you know, they were such lovely, beautiful people. And he was shooting on a film camera, one of those big old boxes that you look down like that. And
Wild.
I thought, this is cool. Okay, I'm just going to go with this. And it was very grungy poses with the handbags, and the photos were amazing. Then when I got booked for another job for Repertoire at a German clothing brand down in Tauranga, I thought, I'm just going to go with this. I'm just going to relax, just let it flow. You know, I'm in cooperation, not control. And another really lovely experience. Working with those people, really nice, and, you know, hopefully that they're pleased with the photos and the photos look good.
Well, you're a great model. I mean, why wouldn't they be?
It was nice being back in front of the camera. I was like, I've still got it. Yeah, I can still do this.
You never lose it. And
Yeah.
Anna Slavka is back, and she's getting lots of work.
In New Zealand.
No, she lives on a yacht traveling around the world. As you do. But she's incredible. And women like her and you are the ones that should come back. you are the ones that should carry on.
Well, you just go and create a space for us to come back, and we will come back.
I will. So what do you have in your head that you want to shoot at 58 with me? Or shall I surprise you? So I can see exactly what we would shoot with you.
There you go. Well, that's what it'll be then.
It's pretty classic, actually. But I
You've got great taste. I know you'll make me look amazing.
yeah. I mean, I would love to see lots of models in their 50s and 60s come back and just be part of the scene, because it has changed and there are girls, women in their late 20s now. For Trellis, we use models all the time that are 27, 28, 29, 30.
It's good.
And it's not seen as anything, like in our day, it would, like I said before, it was like a big deal. Oh my God, she's 26. Now it's like if someone's 30, it's not a big deal. And when you think about it, 30 is so young.
The women that own repertoire, own and run it and, design all the clothes, they're in my era, my vintage. Maybe some are a little younger or older, but they're all women, older women, mature women. And so good on them for booking. They also use some models in their 20s, but they've used Amanda Bransgrove's also done their campaign, and I can see them moving towards embracing that, so good on them.
I think the agencies need to take note and chase down these incredible models that were at the top of their game in the 80s and 90s, because a lot of them have still got it,
Yeah. But there's got to be the clients for them, because there's got to be the clients that want to use them.
You've got to have intelligent clients that want to make a difference and not just use a young model. You got to have the goods. You got to have the goods, as do young people. I mean, I remember in the 80s and 90s, do you remember how many people used to try and be a model in Auckland? Marianne and I used to laugh about it because she said to me, everybody in Auckland used to be a model. Everybody used to be a model.
Was that in the 90s?
So everybody did a course, did some photos, didn't get any work.
Yeah.
And of course, all the ones like you got all the work.
Like I was looking at that old More magazine the other day, and there was a spread, and it was all like like ball gowns, but the page before that was me and all the lycra, all the 80s lycra. So there was a campaign there, and you turn the page and I was on another spread, as where I don't think that would happen these days, would it? You kind of like,
No.
if you're seen in one thing, they don't want you seen in the other.
I know when you turned up in Auckland, you just got everything you cleaned up. You were doing like Easy Buy and Farmers and magazines and Fashion Quarterly, and
Yeah.
you just did everything.
Is that not normal, Neil? I just thought that was
No, you normally got pigeonholed.
lucky.
Yeah, you were a bit of a glamour puss because people weren't that clued up back then, and it was like, oh, she's come from Paris. That was, that was a
Yeah.
big deal.
In the 90s, yeah. I mean, is it still a bit like that here, where the local girls don't get much work, but the internationals come in and get everything? That
The internationals aren't necessarily any more beautiful than the New Zealand girls. I never found to be any better. Like, there'd be New Zealand girls that would blast some of those internationals that used to come in. It was just that our society was so small in Auckland that, oh, she's from Australia.
So true.
That was Auckland, eh? I mean, Auckland in the 90s was quite a small town, really.
Just looking back, and I was like, oh, this is so. It feels like a different lifetime.
The 80s is 40 years ago. The 90s is getting 34 years ago.
My biggest regret is not keeping all my T-sheets. I wish I'd kept every magazine that I'd been in, actually kept a hard copy of the magazine. I've got a couple, and it's so interesting to open them and look at them and see what's in them. You've got the snapshot of what society was like back then.
Owning a modelling agency, do you think magazines have kind of had their day and everything's just digital now?
Personally, I love a book. I love a book. I love a magazine.
I haven't honestly looked at a magazine for probably a year, honestly. Things just online and digital, yeah. Maybe we'll go back to that. Who knows? Maybe it'll all swing back to magazines and we'll all be
Well,
Well,
everything swings back. It, like all the young people now, like my eldest daughter Victoria, who's 32, and all her friends, they all have their analog film cameras now, and they take them everywhere, every gathering, every event that gets it out. Everyone's like, you hold for that one click, and she's got albums. So I think it's trending again.
it's a very different feeling taking photos on film to digital, isn't it?
It's so much more fun.
Official. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so much more fun, and you have to wait. You have to wait and see.
You have to pay.
You do have to pay.
Do you see anyone from the old crowd? Like, do you see? I know you banged into Marianne Lusty the other day, who's one of my best friends.
Because I live in Northland now. You were saying there's quite a few people in the industry that that have just,
Disappeared.
I mean, where's Maisie?
She's over in Australia. She's in Brisbane, I think. Yeah. Did you ever do Farmers with me? I used to shoot Farmers full time.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have. And I did Farmers right at the beginning, and when I first started in the 80s.
It was awful, wasn't it? It was awful. I remember Marianne turning up and going, "What's this department store called Farmers? Is it all for farmers?"
And when did you have that, wow, I want to be a fashion photographer moment?
Worked in a bank, and I just got a call from someone. Yeah. Got a call and went into an advertising agency, and they looked at my little book of pictures, and then they got Des Williams to train me over 2 weeks. He offered me a contract, to shoot Farmers full time, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to work the lights or the camera, and I just pretended. And
good on you.
Yeah, so fooled them.
Wonderful. But they saw your potential.
I wasn't doing 80s work I was taking photos in the late 80s, but they didn't look 80s. It looked more modern, I suppose, back then. So I remember going into Maisie's, and that was a big deal, eh? That was...
Yeah.
I remember going in at the Regent.
She owned June Daly Watkins.
Yeah. There was something about being a Maisie's girl, eh? What's this magic touch? Everybody goes on about she was backstage and she'd come up to you and she'd touch your shoulder, eh?
Yeah. She'd just come up and look at you in the eye and give you a magic touch. She'd do it to everybody.
It's really funny you talking about the beeps and hedges, because I remember talking to Marianne about it, and she said to me, they wanted me to go down on a bloody bus.
After the show, it was, everyone would party, and then everyone would have to get on the bus the next day all hungover and telling their stories, and that it was fun.
You were in the Corbins a lot too. Well, you probably went through the best era was probably the 80s. But I got a little tail end on the 90s.
Yeah, 90s was still fun.
Yeah, it was a great era, wasn't it? There was still that magic about photography and modelling that I don't know exists anymore. We'll do a shoot, Janine Foy, and we will get you.
Oh, yay! Yay!
Are you ready to come back?
Am I ready to come back?
Yeah.
It's something that's just a bit like what you were saying before. It happened to me and I went with the flow. I always went with the flow with my career, and that's what I'm doing now. Things present and I go, okay, do, best of my ability, and then I think, oh, that's enjoyable, it's nice, these people are nice, it's good. So I wouldn't say...
What do you think when you look at all those old photos of you that are from 40 years ago, especially the 80s ones, like...
Oh my gosh, I just...
like the dolly cover. I mean, what comes to you?
Oh my God, and I just that dolly, when I went and did that dolly job, I was so young, and I think it was one of my, first few jobs in Australia, and I was so excited, and I got to the job, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to have my hair and makeup done, and they just messed my hair up and put a bit of lip gloss and said, there you go, you're ready, and I was absolutely horrified. I was like, oh... where's my hair and makeup? And then, we did this amazing shoot. I just went, I think Graham Shearer was shooting that, and it was just, I forgot about it, did the job, walked away, thought, oh, I didn't like that much, because, I wanted to be all glamorous. I was rolling around in the sand, looking like a boy with my short hair, and then going to get on the ferry one day. Remember they used to have the on and outside the bookshops, the newsstands, the magazine covers behind those grates, and just walking past and seeing myself on one of those big, the cover of the magazine behind, and just going, oh my God, that's me. It looks amazing. It was just like,
What was
cool.
that like, seeing yourself in the magazines and going and buying? Did you go and buy like 3 copies?
Yeah, it was just, I remember seeing it and then looking around, they're like, can anyone see that that's me, sort of thing. And then, buying some copies, and I probably sent a copy home in the post to my mum, because I was thinking, how would I have shown her? You can't just like take a photo and, send it on Messenger or send a text.
And you waited, You waited,
Yeah.
waited for it to come out.
But I think, like you, with the modelling, you just really have to go with the flow and trust, because, like sometimes you're doing a job and you think, oh, this is going to be so cool, and the photos come out and it's not good at all. And other times, like the job I just described, you think, oh no, this is, not as great as I thought, and then it's amazing. So, but I think that was the mystery of film too, because now you can go and have a look, while you're shooting, like this a repertoire job, they're shooting, all the images are up on the screen.
You seem like you're happy to be a 58-year-old model. Like you're not interested in trying to be a 32-year-old model.
Yeah, well, on that job, I was a bit like, because, you get older and I think, thinking, oh, I've got my wrinkles and my, gravity and all, and, I don't look like I used to. But it is what it is, you either embrace yourself or you're going to be sad. And I went on that job, and, my 2 pet hates is don't straighten my hair. Please don't straighten my hair, and can I please smile? So I lifting my face up, and the 2 things they did, straighten my hair, and it was all very, Neil, I just went, you know what? I'm just going to go with this. I'm just surrendering. I'm just going to do it, and the shots looked pretty good. So
What's that, Janine Foy? Of course they're going to look good.
you're too sweet.
Come to the end of a podcast. We've been talking for over an hour now.
Wow, that went so fast.
It's been so nice to catch up with you and see what you're up to, and I'm really excited about coming and taking your photos. And
Oh, Neil, I'm going to so look forward to it. February, I
Good
think.
ones. You're one of the good ones.
Oh,
And in my opinion, your era, there's about 4 or 5 of you that all should be back and all working and all be part of New Zealand modelling. So let's get you back.
yay, you make it happen. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No worries.
And thank you so much for this opportunity. And congratulations on your amazing success with your documentaries.
Oh,
That's so cool.
No.
So happy for you.
That's just an accident that happened. So
Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing that accident. It looks the trailer looks amazing.
the Kylie Bax one is good. Yeah. In the Miss New Zealand one, I never thought it would go anywhere, but both of them are being shown on TV, and
Yeah.
I'm on to the third one. I kind of like, it's like taking shots from magazines. You forget and you're on to the next one. All right, Janine, it's been so good to see you, and
You too.
we will talk soon, and thank you for being on my December podcast.
You're welcome. Big kiss.
Lots.
And see you soon.
Adios,
Bye.
amigos.